All right, so today we're going to be working on our pot holders. I'm using these little panels, okay? So it's got Santa Claus on one side, and the other side I'm using has a little, like, I don't know, schoolhouse maybe, farmhouse, I don't know. So you can do any size. These ones, I don't even know the measurements, but I just use the actual panel. You can hypothetically cut it out of any cotton fabric, whatever size you like. You could do it also a larger one. I'm going to scoot over here. A larger one so that you can put it in the middle of your table to put hot pans on, whatever you want to do. So then what I'm doing is I have one of these for each side. So it's a total of 2 of the cotton fabrics, you guys, okay? Then we have 2 pieces of felt. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this one piece of felt, 1 piece of fabric, and I'm just going to stitch them together. Honestly, you probably could do all of this at one time, but we're going to do it one at a time just to make things a little easier for you guys, okay? And I recommend pinning. And for some of you guys, if you're not really great at it yet. If you're hand sewing, you faux sure want to pin. All right, so I'm just going to travel right along the edges here. I'm going to turn it. I tell you, there's not much better than the smell of rain in California after the fires, man. All right, so then that's 3 sides, and we're going to do the last one. Now, when I'm doing, if you're on machine, I just put my needle in the fabric and lift it up and twist it. I don't necessarily take it off. So here you guys can see we have it sewn all the way around. I dropped my other one on the floor, so I'm going to pick it up. So again, 1 pretty fabric on top of 1 felt, okay? Just pseudo line them up. My felt is slightly larger than my fabric, which is fine because I will be, trimming it up anyway. So 1, 2, so those of you guys who are here in class with me today, you'll be able to look at this and see exactly step by step what I did today while you guys were here, okay? So we're on side 3, and I don't know if you can see it yet, but I'll show you in a second. My felt does not exactly line up, which will be painfully obvious when I show you this, but that's okay. All right, so here you can see that my felt is a little bigger. So here's my fabric, here's my felt. That's okay, I'm going to trim them. But what I'm going to do next, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim those nice and neat. Just taking off anything extra that doesn't really fit. I'm checking. If everyone is not aware, I have muted everyone just because I am recording a video to post on the YouTube for you guys. So that is why you're muted, and as soon as we're done sewing this, we'll unmute y'all and talk about it, okay? All right, so now I'm trimming up all the excess off of here to make it nice and even where my fabric, I have this little funny tail, it's going to make me crazy. So to where everything is nice and neat all the way around. All right, my other one's pretty close, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to make them pretty sides kiss and put them together like this. All right, we're going to pin it together around the outside edge. I'm just going to use a couple just to kind of hold them in place. Really, it's up to you how many you need to keep it from moving around. All right, right now I'm just putting 1 in each side. Now, the hardest part about this is really that if they were not the exact same size to begin with, you want to make sure that whatever side is smaller, you want to be able to see that side, okay? Because with it being smaller, you want to make sure that you go inside that seam. So in this case, one of mine has this little bit of edge here. See? And so I'm going to make sure I sew inside with this side up. All right, so here we go. Now, one important fact on this one, you want to make sure you leave an opening so you can turn it. I'm not going to make a very big one, but we're going to leave a little bit of an opening, okay? So here we go. I am using fabric that was sort of salvaged, so, you know, my squares may not end up being perfectly accurate when I'm done, but that's okay. It gives you an idea. I am almost out of my bobbin thread. We'll see if I can make it around or not. I'm not convinced that I will, but we'll see. Okay, almost around. And we're going to go almost to the edge and back it up. All right, and ooh, I had barely enough to get around. Woohoo! All right, so I'm going to pull my pins and I'm going to trim up the edges, okay, and clip the corners. So what I'm going to do along here is I'm going to take it in to where it's just outside the most innermost line, and I'm going to chop off the corners. So here, I'm going to go to the innermost line right here. I'm going to trim it down to just outside of that, and I'm going to chop off my corners, right? All right, let's do that. Eventually, I'll stop doing this without having a garbage can over here, too. I say that, but that's probably not actually accurate. I probably totally won't do that. However, I do sweep up after. All right, so I am trimming down on my sides. I am not paying much attention in this case to making this even, so, you know, it may have a fabulous wonky square when we're done. All right, so now I've trimmed all the way around. So I have little flat corners like this, and then I've trimmed these up nice and neat, okay? We're going to turn it right. All right, so I'm going to show the camera here. Trim this up to a pretty short distance from the seam and clopped off all our corners. Now we're going to take the little hole we left right here, and we're going to open it up and turn it right side out. I think I am going to have to put a different bobbin in there before I can continue though. So you guys who are in class, I'm trying to show you, and those of you guys who will be watching later via the video on YouTube, you're going to only see like my ear and like maybe half of my eyeball most of the time. The rest of the time you're just not going to see much of me. It'll be half my eyeball. But you know, that's okay. I like making the hole on these pretty small because I don't want to have to open up much. But on the other hand, it definitely makes it harder to turn. So, you know, it's up to you to make that a decision based on what is easiest for you, okay? All right, we have this almost. So next time I need to remember, in my prep for class, when I'm teaching sewing, I should probably make sure my bobbin is filled before I start. Right now we want to move all, make sure our corners are poked out. So as you guys can see, or you might be able to see, it's not like, see how this has a much deeper from the black line to the edge than this does? Like I said, it's because I used, so here, it's a deeper from here to here than it is here. It's because I did use a scrap piece of this, this stuff. So I'm just using what's there because it's cute and it'll be rustic. That's what we call it. Anything we mess up on, you guys, or don't have perfect, we call it rustic. That is what we do, and that is how we market that stuff, okay? All right, so I'm going to grab a bobbin here. Actually, I'm going to use the brown like I did last time, so one side will have the brown bobbin thread, and then the top will have the cream-colored thread. We just decide to make it a stylistic choice rather than, you know, me being too lazy to thread another bobbin, because a stylistic choice sounds so much better. And we're going to pull this up here.
Mommy, I want some squeezy.
Top to your sister.
I want some.
Top to your sister. All right, so now, all right, now what we're going to do is we are going to now sew all the way around the outside edges and top stitch it. So we're going to put a pin in here. All right, so here we go. I am gonna just top stitch right close to the edge. Maybe, there's my, if I use the correct foot pedal. It's one of those, why do we even have that leather? All right, 2, now we're on side 3. And let the top now, or no, sorry, I lied, the bottom. I lied. All right, so we're going across the bottom now. And now, instead of cutting our thread, I'm going to turn this to where I'm going at an angle, and I'm going to make an X right across the middle. So this one first. There we go. Maybe, there we go. Now, if you so desire, you could say make whatever pattern you wanted across the middle. You could follow the picture and like outline the house. But bear in mind, if you outline the house on this side, Santa Claus would be, you know, in a different pattern. But, you know, whatever you want to do on this. And now I'm going to go to one of the other corners. Oh, I lied. I'm going to do it this way because I want to have the same color thread on both sides, or on each side. So, since I'm using 2 different threads, I have to make sure I do the correct one. I'm just going to go ahead and angle right across here. Back stitch. Always remember to back stitch every time you're doing something on a machine. We're going to clip our threads. And officially, we have a functional pot holder. Let me just trim this up so you can see it. And voila. We have a pot holder. So I made another one last one of our classes, and so now I have somewhere a matching set. They're really cute, and, you know, chuck them in the wash, whatever. I do, in fact, use these to pull stuff out of the oven. However, depending on your heat sensitivity, my hands are ridiculously tough from sewing for, you know, 30 years plus working as a waitress back when I did that. My hands are pretty tough. So if, you know, this may not be enough for you to actually pull something out of the oven, I don't know. It's up to you. You might just want to use them on the table, whatever. You can always add another layer of the felt if you want to make it extra thick. These work plenty fine for me, so, but there's that. And, all right, I'm going to close out our video here.